Jackson was with his friend at Christmas Eve when they decided to play hide and seek. He refused and suggested to play Smith, but he told them that he wouldn't play neither hide and seek nor Smith because of two reasons. Then he told the first reason why he wouldn't play hide and seek. 10 years ago, a girl who was playing hide and seek in a house fell down the stairs. She broke her neck and she died. Her name was Brenda Ford, but he didn't know it. Later, he explained the second reason why he wouldn't play Smith, which was more terrible. 5 years ago, he was having a dinner with his friends in the house where the girl died, when someone suggested to play Smith and told the rules. They began to play, and when they finished, they counted 14 people instead of 13. They played Smith 2 more times, and the last time Jackson was bored, so he decided to go with the rest of the players. Then he found a window and he sat there. He felt a girl beside him and he thought that she was the Smith, but she wasn't. She said to him that her name was Brenda Ford. When a player found him, the girl had disappeared. Then they went to the living room and Jackson talked with one of the players. He told him that the girl was called Brenda Ford, and the player answered him that she was the girl who died there.
Moore had an important examination, so he decided to look for a quiet place to study. He chose a little town unknown for him called Benchard. The first night he stayed at the only hotel in all the town, but it wasn't enough quiet for him, so he decided to search a rent house. He found a quiet and deserted house. Its owner was a lawyer called Mr. Camphor. The owner sent Moore a servant. Mr. Goose, the landlady, told him not to move there because there happened strange things because there lived a judge who was so cruel, and one day a lot of sirens began to sound and he appeared hung with a rope, but he ignored the story. A short time later, Moore began to feel and see strange things, like big rats running on the floor of the house, nightmares and strange sounds, until one day the servant cleaned a painting where appeared a judge's portrait. Suddenly, the image of the judge in the painting disappeared, and Moore saw how the judge was coming nearer with a rope in his hand. The judge hung Moore, and the alarm bell of the judge's house began to ring. A lot of people came running with lanterns and torches, but Moore had died.
Giles went to Beverly's house to spend a short holiday in Wales. The house was built by himself and it was called Fabland Fort. During the first week, they went to some geological expedition in the mountains, but one day Beverly had to go to work, so Giles decided to do an excursion along on the other side of the mountains. Suddenly he got lost because of the mist, and he saw an old man with a dog who spoke in Welsh. Giles didn't understand him, but the old man gave him a map and pointed out the path that Giles must take. The old man disappeared and Giles began to walk until he realized that the path had led him to the edge of a cliff. He decided to sit down and wait for the mist to clear. A short time later, Parry, Beverly's servant, appeared and rescued him. When they arrived to the house, Giles told Parry and Beverly that he was lost, but he didn't tell anything about the stranger in the mist. Parry said that a lot of accidents had happened in that mountains. I told them about the case of Mr. Stevenson, who died there with a map in his pocket, and Mr. Robinson, who survived and had the same map. Mr. Robinson went to Beverly's house and he told them that the stranger man did in 1720, and he appears every time a mountaineer gets lost with a map made by himself.
Charles Lindworth killed his mother because she had a lot of money and he needed it for paying his debts. He buried her body in the garden behind his shop, where his wife wasn't in the house, and he sent his luggage to London. He told everybody that she had moved to London with friends, and he didn't know her address because he had argued with her. In London, her luggage hadn't been picked, so it came back to a Sheffield's police office. This office was burned, so the luggage burned too. The police sent an apology letter to the mother, and Lindworth's wife read it. The police began to investigate Lindworth's garden, and they found the mother's body. Lindworth was condemned to death. He died and Dr. Tisdale examined his body, and suddenly he felt like Lingworth's spirit moving around him. Later, another thing happened. One of the prison officers came into the room asking for Lingworth's robe, but it wasn't there. Dr. Tisdale went to his house, and when we finished having dinner, the phone began to ring. He only heard a whisper. He called his operator, and the call came from the prison, but nobody in the prison called him. Next day, Tisdale talked to the prison officer, and they decided to wait for another call. At night, Tisdale received a call. It was Lingworth. He wanted to talk to the chaplain. Tisdale called to the prison officer and told him about the call. Next night, the chaplain and Tisdale had dinner together. The phone rang, and Tisdale wanted the chaplain to talk to Lingworth. The chaplain heard a whisper, but he didn't believe it. Suddenly, Lingworth's ghost appeared with the rope, and he left it on the floor. Tisdale was seeing the rope, but the rest of the people not.
It's a true story. A doctor called James Murray decided to go to the mountains, but he got lost because of the snow and the cold. He ran and found an old man with a lantern. This man took him to his master's house. The master was a serious man who loved reading. He explained James that he could come back to his house with a coach that rode every night and stopped at Jamestown. James took the coach, and there were 3 more passengers there. The coach was covered with dirt and nobody answered James. He saw the people's face in the coach, and he lived a moment of terrible pain and fear. The horse had become crazy. A very long time later, James woke up in his bed with his wife. He couldn't remember anything, and his wife told him that he fell down into a valley, but he survived. Then he remembered all the real accident. It was on the same place where the coach gone off of the road 20 years before. He never told his wife the story, but he told the doctor, who said that everything was because of the cold, the tiredness, and a violet bang on his head.
Leighton and Harry were climbing a hill when they saw a beautiful house. Then Leighton told Harry the house story. The house was called Far Circle, and it was built by Lord Carteron in the 17th century. Carteron was a man who loved his house, and he became a Catholic. When he died, his cousins moved into the house because he hadn't children. Later, in the 18th century, the Applebys bought Far Circle. When John Appleby died, the house went to a distant cousin called Giffen. Julian and Ursula Giffen live now in the house. Leighton met them in a trial. Then they met Julian Giffen in a bike, and Leighton asked him to go to his house to have a quick look inside. Julian showed the house and introduced his wife Ursula. Then Julian showed them their workroom, which was a chapel before. When they left the house, Harry thought that Far Circle looked like an especially peaceful place, but the Giffen couple weren't as important as the house. 2 years later, Harry saw the Giffens again. Julian was fishing when Harry met him. Julian looked different. Julian asked Harry to spend the night in Far Circle with him and his wife. Harry thought that everything in that house had changed, especially Julian's wife. One day, Leighton and Harry went to visit Far Circle because Harry wanted Leighton to show the changes in the house and the couple. When they arrived, they realized that the workroom wasn't a workroom. It was a chapel, with watch built again because Ursula became a Catholic. That house always had something strange that made all its residents become Catholic, like its first owner.